Hello everyone, welcome, Swagat and Sat Sri Akal. I am very happy and delighted to be here on this platform, Galp Lok, and share with you my musings, reflections, and opinions. These musings, reflections, and opinions should not be taken as a final or well considered thought on any of the topics or subjects under the discussion. I present these to you in the spirit of gulp or katha, which is a never ending and ever expanding debate and discussion. You are all welcome to chip in, contradict, or even extend the arguments presented here, totally in the spirit of Galp Lok. I am thinking of presenting every day the many ironies of our lives and times as I see them. And as I said, you are all welcome to join this conversation. However, I also think that how could I commit to a settled or ordered weekly or fortnightly or otherwise of these episodes? Do our musings and thoughts have any orderly manner of appearance? Could we fathom its movements? So let it be in the unorderly fashion, from its emergence in our mind to the expression in the slippery slope of thinking, imagination, and reflection. So, in this spirit, I am going to share with you some of the ironies and contradictions of our times and life as I see them. This I will be presenting more in the form of ironies, puzzle, or a riddle without any definite answer. And there is two reasons for that. First, I am in the stage of life where I myself do not have answer to these puzzles or ironies, and the received wisdom that I have fails to give us the convincing answer. And second reason is not really to have a definite answer, but searching the answer for ourselves to these puzzles. So I feel that the fascination with these ironies and contradiction is not to have a predefined, settled answer, but to search it for ourselves. So in this spirit, I am going to share my thought to you today on the ironies of the self and its हजारों ख्वाहिशें जाने कैसी कैसी. And these ironies of the self I take not as anatomy but in the form of psyche. And the thoughts or the ironies of the self that I will discuss today is in the spirit of Hindu philosophy, and more specifically the Bhagavad Gita, where this self and its psyche has an articulation in the form of sattva, rajas, tamas, where it is defined as something without a beginning or an end, sanatan, chir, and everlasting. These thoughts and musings are also in the spirit of Allama Iqbal, and the way he defined it in Asrar-e-Khudi or Bekhudi. It is also in the spirit of Ghalib when he say, बस की दुश्वार है हर काम का आसान होना, आदमी को भी मयस्सर नहीं इंसान होना. So this is this journey from being an admi to insan, and what it takes to reach or travel that distinction or that road between आदमी and इंसान. या फिर जब गालिब कहते हैं मैं कहाँ और ये बवाल कहाँ. So this is a distinction between the self and the other, the world, the constant conflicts, the challenges, occurrence that surrounds our life, that surrounds the world we inhabit. And we try to find meaning, we try to find pattern in them, and we also try then to fit ourselves in that. So this notion of self or the ironies of the self is also in this spirit of Ghalib. This is also to an extent inspired by Gandhiji's ideal of inner voice. In Tagore's and Aurobindo's ideal of seeing self in the world and world in the self. So we simultaneously see ourselves in the world and world in ourselves, and this to and fro journey between self and the world constitute what is called empathy. And empathy is very important for the self, as you know, that it is this ability which enables us to see and feel the pains of others. Like in this time of global pandemic, when we see the migrant workers and their plight who are unconnected to us, and yet we can feel for them. Or similarly, when a 5-year child mourned the death of his father murdered in a riot, or when a pregnant woman delivers a baby on the road without any medical assistance and still walks 100 miles to reach her home. Many of us feel for them, some of us go out to help, and still many others are indifferent to these pains and sufferings. How we are to understand these different responses, even when we all are said to be constitutive of the same three core elements. So the passions, the desires, the response that we have is said to be constitutive of these three elements, which is also regarded as the core or the primer elements of human soul or human subjectivity. At the bottom of this element is our appetites, which leads us to many desires, passions, and instinct. Then comes a spirit, which helps us develop courage or a sense of honor or dignity. And finally, intellect or reason, which enables us to make a distinction between good and bad, desirable and undesirable, just and unjust. So if our self is constitutive of these three elements, and all traditions have more or less similar notion of these three elements. It is there in Plato's philosophy, in Greek civilization, in Indian Hindu philosophy. This is well articulated in Bhagavad Gita with this idea of sattva, rajas and tamas. So we all are constitutive of these three core elements. Now the riddles are, or the ironies are, if we are constitutive of these three core elements in different proportions, then how to understand this self? The first is, does this self reside within or in others? So this question of being in the self or being in the self while being in the world. How to understand this contradiction, this puzzle, this ironies of the self. And the second, which is more important, is although we are constituted of same core three elements, we are very different in so many ways. Some of us derive pleasures in reading great books of philosophy or literature. We enjoy listening to good music or watch a good movie. However, many of us also equally enjoy what is called cheap literature or derive pleasure in many other modes of self-indulgence. Some of us are very honest, straightforward, while many of us are crafty. Some of us look for truth, while many enjoy telling lies and fooling around. In fact, we are so different that we tend to live, be, and assert our difference from others. Some of us want to be and live among the crowd and masses. Many of us would like to live and appear different from the masses. Now, if we are so different in our psychological dispositions, then why do we fight for equality in all the spheres of our life? In the family, in the community, in the state. How to make sense of one man, one vote, one value, the hallmark of our modern democracy and struggle for equality. I think this is too much of babbling about the ironies of the self. Let me conclude by rephrasing Galib when he says, अभी तो हम वहाँ हैं जहाँ से हमको भी हमारे होने की कुछ खबर नहीं आती. So, मुझे तो मालूम नहीं मेरा सेल्फ क्या है, कहाँ है। आपको अपने सेल्फ का पता मालूम हो तो बताइएगा। थैंक्स फॉर लिसनिंग।